In the mirror, sharp as a bullet. I love my mullet.
Gag, ho. Take it, take it, take it, take it. Hold my head when I shake it, shake it, take it, take it.
To be fair, it is a mullet. I was right.
Y'all, it's back. It's back. It's back. It's back. Like, oh, geez, it's really here. We're back to this point. Please don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart. I just don't think it'll understand that the mullet is back. With a vengeance! So, you know how back in the 20-teens, like, we youths...
There are youths everywhere.
Youths? Are you Officer Krupke?
Started wearing things ironically like thick frame glasses or something only to be called hipsters? And then it became like fashionable and normal, and honestly, I don't even remember what qualifies as hipster at this point. Like, this elder millennial is in her mid-30s, y'all, and she is tired. However, what I can only hope started ironically on TikTok is the return of the mullet, apparently also called the wolf cut sometimes, in its most pure and truest form. Thanks, Billy. At least your sacrifice was not entirely in vain.
I don't know what you don't understand about what I just said.
Please, God, do not bring back the rat tail. It is just... No rat tail. Just whatever we do, please. God, no rat tail. It's... the worst.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Interestingly, though, the mullet is not new. And I'm not even talking about like the 1980s or 1990s mullet. Oh no, no. I'm actually talking about the 1780s mullet, the 1680s mullet, even you could maybe argue 1880s mullet. But definitely the 19-teens and 1920s mullets. So as much as my grew up in Louisville, Kentucky and Southern Indiana in the 80s and 90s self is deeply disturbed by the resurgence of mullets, I do want to take a quick jaunt though down memory lane with a very brief overview of how the mullet has been the most popular haircut of all time in the West, for both men and women. Though today I am going to focus on the lady mullet, but here are some special shout outs for the dudes. Including but not limited to my dad's mullet, circa 1986, 1987. Also, just side note for anyone who watches The Boys, personally, I think he low-key looks like Billy. But I digress. Now, before we get into the actual history of the mullet, it is that special sponsor time, my friends. So let's give it up for the sponsor of today's video, Native. Today's sponsor is Native, a brand that believes in empowering people to use cleaner personal care products, including the most amazing smelling deodorants and body washes of all time. Native is so committed to their beliefs that last year they donated $2 million worth of product to Hope and Comfort, a nonprofit organization to help deliver health and confidence to those in need. Ever since I was a teenager, I've been obsessively using clinical strength antiperspirants and deodorants out of fear and social anxiety. But as I've grown older, I've wanted to switch away from that and use an aluminum-free and clean deodorant. I am thrilled with Native's deodorant. I've been using it for months now, and it leaves me feeling so fresh and so clean and always smelling good. Native is also focused on sustainability by offering vegan and cruelty-free products as well as plastic-free packaging for their deodorants. I'm impressed with Native's dedication to quality, with their minimal and clean ingredients that are great for my skin and their amazing scents. I'm currently using the Midnight Jasmine and Sage scent from their summer collection, and I am obsessed with it. In fact, all of their summer scents smell amazing. I also have their popular Peaches and Nectar scented deodorant and their Summer Surf Special Surf and Sea Moss body wash and deodorant. Native is also expanding into other personal care products like toothpaste, sunscreen, and body wash, which I love, by the way. The body wash makes me feel like I'm on a tropical vacation every time I take a shower, and frankly, it's like the closest thing I've been to a palm tree in a year. If you'd like to give Native a try, use my... Hey, I'm just gonna interrupt myself right now because I actually made a mistake when I was first editing this, and since I'm currently on vacation, we're just doing this real quick right here, you and me, on the fly. So, Native deodorants. Right now, if you use my code, AbbyCox2, line
3 deodorants are normally $36.
3 deodorants are normally $36.
But if you use my Lincoln code blank.
But if you use my code, AbbyCox2, you get them for $24, which is 33% off. Also, if you use my code, AbbyCox2, you get 20% off body washes and toothpaste. 10 out of 10 recommend the body wash. Whoa, they smell good. Actually, Nicole just went and bought some. So, there you go. All right, bye.
Thanks again to Native for sponsoring this week's video. Now, to mullets.
Business in the front, party in the back, Kentucky waterfall, Mississippi mud flat.
So if you are somehow unfamiliar with a mullet, I'm just covering my bases here. It is a haircut that is business in the front and a party in the back, or shorter in the front with the back grown out to various lengths. The proportions vary depending on personal taste, decade, and trend, but the general idea is that the front is short and the back is long, and her curves are kicking, and I'm thinking about sticking, anyways, beanpole dames with the magazines. You ain't it, Miss Thing. That was not mullet related. That was just 80s related. Now, how does this play into Anglo-European feminine hair fashions? It's actually pretty straightforward. And just like today, women's hairstyles were achieved using a mix of hair products, heat setting, and hair lengths. Not wigs, like actual hair. Hair pieces were used though. Wigs, very rarely. Now, a sort of knee-jerk assumption is that women either had their hair really, really long in the past, or that they shaved their heads and wore wigs throughout most of modern history. Now, while super long hair definitely served its purpose, and there were some instances of women having to shave their heads for medical health reasons, not for vanity's sake, that really wasn't a thing for most of modern history. Most women took care of their hair in similar ways that we do today. Regular combing, brushing, a wet or dry washing, depending on what century we're in, and regular haircuts to get rid of the dead ends. They would dye their hair, curl their hair, tease their hair, and use a wide assortment of hair products to achieve certain results with various levels of toxicity. Some of those recipes are a little, ooh. Like, I know everyone gets like hung up on like white makeup, even though that really wasn't that popular. Hair dyes, man. Wow. That's really where it gets a little hinky. Anyways. A variation of the mullet was crucial in achieving a lot of women's hairstyles. Since my personal expertise is in late 18th century women's hairdressing, that is the century that I'm going to focus on the most. But we can actually see the mullet throughout the mid 1600s well through the 1920s in various forms and capacity. When 18th century women's hair is discussed, it's usually within the context of it being several feet tall and over the top. Part of this is just a mix of hyperbole and accidental misinterpretation of 18th century terminology, like when people say that the headdress is 3 feet tall. This is including tall ostrich feathers and not like just the height of the hair itself. These descriptions can also still be pretty hyperbolic because the 18th century loved satire. Now, however, for most of the 1700s, women needed their hair to be pretty short in the front to be able to achieve the right styles. Like, you can't achieve these really amazing cute double horns with long hair. It has to be cut short. Same thing goes for these curly styles, which were only achievable if your hair was short enough in the front. The only real exception to this need is roughly 1772 to 1778 or 9, when the fashion for tall hair was in vogue. Before and after, the hair is actually pretty short in the front. A fantastic example of how to cut an 18th century mullet is in Plakakamos by James Stewart. If this title sounds familiar to you, it's the same book that Lopsy, I think I'm pronouncing her channel correctly, and Brad Mondo tried to follow their hairdressing instructions from with various levels of success. Now, part of their struggles were actually based in that the hair that they were styling was not the right cut, because before you actually get to the hair styling instructions, Stewart walks you through how to cut the hair to achieve the style that he's explaining in the book. And it's a freaking mullet, guys. It's like the most extreme mullets of mullets. It's insane. Honestly, when I watched Lopsy's video for the first time, I actually panicked because creping your hair, which is what the instructions are walking you through for the front, need your hair to be short so the creping doesn't result in a massive knot that will destroy that lock of hair. I cannot even tell you guys how relieved I was when she finished it and it looked good. I was literally sweating it out for her. It made me so nervous. So here's what Plokakosmos, I've always just called it Plokakosmos. That's not probably correct, but that's what my mouth can say. So that's what we're calling it here. Plokakosmos. It probably doesn't need an extra S in there. Anyways, Plokakosmos. Anyways, so here's what Plokakosmos says about the haircut. Oh my gosh. All right, so here's the deal. One, I have the hiccups, and I know you might be sitting at home going, Abby, why are you filming when you have the hiccups? And that is a very valid question. The answer to that question is, I'm on a deadline. We're doing this now. The hiccups are none. So just bear with me. I apologize in advance. But here's the thing. So as I was like talking and like, you know, doing the spiel that you guys are watching, I was like, you know, this is really hard to demonstrate just with words, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if I can buy a cosmetology head for the cheap on the internet. Turns out you can. And try and demonstrate what this actual haircut is supposed to look like. So that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're gonna do this afternoon. Danielle here is her name. She is dirt cheap. She's got a very thin head of hair. I thought my hair was thin. You all have not met Danielle yet. But we're gonna try to cut Danielle's hair following the instructions in Plokakosmos. I am not a trained cosmetologist. I do not cut hair professionally. I have cut one person's hair in my life, one human person's hair in my life, and I was terrified to do it. My experience in hair cutting comes with cutting Subi's butt fur because she gets dingleberries and she needs to kind of keep her backside trimmed up. Just side note, Subi, I've never seen Subi's asshole. It's a mythical place, full of wonder and shit. And so please don't critique my technique. I don't cut people's hair. I don't want to cut people's hair. I don't even cut my husband's hair. I don't cut my hair. I pay money for that, okay? We got some big Venus energy in this bitch right here. She likes to pay professionals to do it. She's not a professional. I'm not a professional. Don't critique my hair cutting skills. But we're gonna try. We're gonna try to see how this goes, following the instructions so we can at least demonstrate the extremeness of this haircut. Now, since Danielle is cheap, it's probably not gonna look that good. I'm just gonna say it's destined to fail at this point. But we're here, we've committed, I've bought the head, I need to be able to write it off for my taxes this year, so this is what we're gonna do. With this comb, you are to part the hair. This is the foundation of the dressing, the excellence of which greatly depends on and requires a considerable degree of nicety and attention to do it well. Part your hair and part it nicely. Don't be messy. The depth of parting depends on a good deal of the quantity of the hair. If very thick, the parting must be narrower, in order that the hair may dress light and transparent. If the hair is thin, the shade must be wider in order to give a proper substance to the forepart. So what that means is depending on how thick the person's hair is, it depends on how far you're gonna part the hair over here and how much you're actually gonna cut and how much you're gonna leave in the back. Obviously, if the hair is thinner and finer, you're gonna have more pull to the front, and if the hair is thicker, you're gonna have less. That's what he means. I think it's really important to note that with 18th century hairdressing, that the individual's hair length, texture, thickness, all of it is regularly discussed and taken into consideration. Just keep that in mind. The usual breadth of shade just in front is from 2 to 3 inches or more and must gradually increase as to be from 5 to 6 and the temples. I think that's supposed to be at the temples. So if your temple's here, then you know it's supposed to be like kind of back here somewhere. From thence the line must run down, almost directly down, about 1.5 inches behind the ear. The front hair now must be loosened. You must take it with you that nice parting is particularly wanted when cutting, for the parting uneven will be the means of cutting the hair irregular and bungling. Basically, you need to part your hair well or the haircut in the following hairdressing system is gonna look like trash. Do your job right, basically is what he's saying. In all of your maneuvers, begin in the middle of the front, thus. Draw a line about 1 inch on each side of the center of the forehead. Let the hair of each side be properly done back and out of the way. Draw the comb through this that you have got in your hand and hold it upright from the forehead between 2 forefingers of your left hand. And with the small thinning shears, which I don't know if that's what I have. I just have these. They do a good job with Stevie's butt fur. So we're gonna go with it. Or tapering scissors in your right hand, gently open them gently and snip a few hairs regularly from one side to the other within a little more than ½ an inch of the forehead. Do you guys see where this is going now? When this is done, with your comb, frizz them down, or rather half separate them from the long. Then with your scissors, proceed as before, but not so near the head. This being the second tier, bring it down to the first and do the third as the rest, but still higher up meaning longer, leaving them longer as you go, and so on till you come to the points, the ends. When properly done, it should rise from ½ an inch in the front to 4 inches more or less on the back part, and so regular that there should not be 2 hairs of one length, but standing on end like a fine, curious planting, row after row, slanting to a point. She looks like Joe Dirt. Grip. Hi. So yeah, that's probably, honestly, it's not 4 inches. I cut it a little short. But she also doesn't have a lot of hair, so there's that. You are then to proceed as you did with the middle parting, but with singular attention that, as you move from the center to the ears, you cut it more freely in the front and leave it gradually longer behind. Thus, the short hairs will not be perceptible above ½ an inch back, just on the middle of the forehead, while they gradually increase as you reach to the temples, and from the temples to the ears to be full 2 inches of perceptible short hairs. That is, this short hair may be from ½ an inch to 1.5 inches or 2 inches long. So from the center of the underpart of the front, it is from 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 inches as it comes down the side of the head. So I kind of did that. I was a little aggressive on this one side, but I can try it on the other side. So this is where it starts to get longer on the sides. You can see down here, I was able to kind of correct myself and get this kind of long. It's still not, it's not a smooth layered cut. It is bad. But you know, for my first time ever doing it, yeah.
Much later.
So this is my second side and this is my first side. I kind of went in and tried to clean this up a little bit. I think somewhere probably in the middle of this, nicer, a more even shading is the correct way to go about doing this. As I said, I'm not a cosmetologist. I did not go to school for this. This is me just 18th century books and book instructions and just winging it for the sake of YouTube. But as you can see, she is mulleted. She got the shaggy hair in the front, the short, really short, Joe Dirt level short here in the front, with it being very, very long in the back. So this is what they're talking about in Plakakamos in the 1780s, that this is the haircut that it's supposed to be, or hopefully it's something much nicer than this. But it just kind of helps show how extreme the mullet actually was for women in the 1880s. And the same goes for men too. They had very similar haircuts. It was not just women doing this, it was men. I have more knowledge in female haircuts. But you can see how like short it is here and how it just kind of like, obviously she's fake hair, but like the idea is that it kind of sticks up and just kind of sits like that and sits away from the face, which is what you want for a 1780s hair. So this is it. So this is why Lopsy and Brad Mondo's attempt at trying to understand the instructions for how to fix 18th century hair according to that book didn't technically work because they didn't have the right haircut. I personally would love to see Brad Mondo try this again with actually cutting cutting his mannequin's head according to the instructions, because I would like to see someone who actually knows how to cut hair do it instead of me. Battle axing my way through like I'm trimming Sue Boss's butt fur. But this is why we did on a mannequin for the full effect. Hold on. There we go. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Joe Dirt.
Right on. I'll hold your hat for you.
I'm so sorry. I know you're not real, but I still am sorry that I did that to you. Jeez. Look. This is so bad. Here's actually an illustration from the book that I think is supposed to reference this cutting and frizzing and hairstyling technique. Mullets were crucial in achieving fashionable women's hairstyles, and variations were used throughout the rest of the 1780s, 90s, and actually well into the 1800s. We can see that the hair parting in all of these portraits show that the front half of the head from the ears forward is traditionally cut short with the back left long, so it's easier for women to curl their hair into the fashionable styles. The length of the front half obviously changes depending on what curl length is trending at that particular time. Eventually, we do see the mullet fade from style at the end of the 1830s into the 1840s, actually from the Handbook of the Toilette, 1841. Very few female faces will bear curls or ringlets, both impart a vulgar appearance and frequently make a gentlewoman appear like a dressed-up servant maid or a seamstress who hires herself by the day. Damn. Someone's a classist bitch. Curls, however, suit some very young ladies having small, delicate features. The best, the simplest, and the most elegant fashion of dressing ladies' hair is a parting in the middle of the forehead and reaching to the crown, and the hair placed smoothly over each temple. Behind it may be dressed without being tied at all, but if it must be bound, let the ribbon be at some little distance from the root and not pulled too tightly. There you go. Gen Z will love it. Just kidding, Gen Z, you're fine. And while maybe we could get a bit pedantic in the comparison of 1980s mullets with their heavily layered cuts versus the more blunt cut lady mullet of the 18 teens and 30s, when we break down mullets in their truest short in the front and long in the back form, these women are rocking some mullets. And they're epic mullets at that. Ones that would actually, I think, make Billy Ray Cyrus the most jealous.
Don't tell my heart, my aching, breaking heart. I just don't think you'd understand.
Now, one final historical mullet hurrah that actually Carolina Zabrowska reminded me of when a group of us were randomly discussing mullets is the late 19-teens, early 1920s mullets. See, we just assumed that like 1920 hit and women went after their tresses with like a hacksaw. But the reality is that quite a few women would actually leave their hair long in the back and then cut the front to kind of look bob-ish. So it kind of looks like a bob, but it isn't a bob, you know? So it's like, yeah, flapper mullets. Mullets were a thing, and they have been a thing for a while, for centuries, honestly. And so, look, if you want to go get yourself a mullet, go for it. It'll be cool for at least 10 minutes. You'll have hilarious pictures to show people 10 years from now when they're no longer considered cool. They are truly a gender-neutral haircut, and if you hate it, well, that's what buzz cuts and pixie cuts are for. Okay, plus, like, some people do actually look amazing in mullets, AC Slater being my case in point. Oh, by the way, I have it on very good authority that you get 100 extra bonus cool life points if you perm your mullet too. Have fun with the mullets, guys. Bye. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Mullets. And even these descriptions can still be satirical and hyperbolic. Yeah. Can still get that fucking out of my mouth. I'm so sorry, guys. Is there a hair? Oh my God, there is a hair. You smell like butthole. You do. Can you go back to laying down? Here we go. Here we go, Griff. This one is debatable, but definitely the 19-tweet. Miss Sister can't resist red beans and rice. Anyways, do you guys remember the Herbal Essence commercials from like the 90s? Oh yeah, oh yeah.